Hello friends, you are welcome to the class for today. I'm looking at performance best practices and Angular apps. And here is our content. Briefly, we'll be looking at ahead of time compilation, lazy loading, bundle sizing, and pure and impure pipes. Having a best practice for mobile apps and for Angular apps as well, that is mobile apps built with Angular. Best practices are essential. Performance is also required, especially by the users. Apart from mobile apps, come to talk about websites. Performance is a critical issue. Alright, so without much hesitation, I will dive in to what we have for today. We have some objectives to cover at the end of this, before the end of the class. Number one, we want to compile the app for a great performance. Then number two, we want to use lazy loading to improve performance, just for the sake of performance. Then finally, we'll be looking at how to manipulate bundle size and to work with pipes in order to achieve the sole aim of performance of our apps. Alright, we'll go into introduction. We'll look at some important performance consideration and best practices that should be taken to get the best performance from our Angular apps. Alright, compilation at the browser. Compilation can be done either at the browser or at the server as well. Whichever way you choose, it's okay. But for the sake of performance, it is advisable, preferred that compilation should not be at the browser. So in this, the entire app is sent to the browser with a bunch of Angular code that is used to compile the app. In other words, loading the application on a browser implies that the whole of the code will have to be downloaded to the browser, executed, and that takes a lot of time and a lot of space at the browser. And for it to be in that way, which means that performance will be at risk, and also user experience will also be at risk. The implication of that is that it will slow down your app, and if that slows down your app, that will give a poor user experience, and of course the entire performance of the app will be affected, and of course business success will also be affected. That's why compilation is very important, and for the sake of performance, compilation is not good to be done at the browser. Rather, we'll look at ahead of time compilation. We'll compile ahead of time. Regard in Angular apps, or in the Angular world, it is considered as AOT, ahead of time compilation. So ahead of time compilation helps to compile the app, creates a minified version and a distributable version of the application, and is deployed to the production servers. That way, compilation happens only once before deployment, and is only compiled at production, not at the browser, but rather before it is sent to the server. Thereby, it saves a lot of time and improves performance of the app. So look at lazy loading. And lazy loading in programming, of course, is a simple way of just loading the object that is required by the user. We may have a lot of components in Angular apps, of course, home components, register component, sign-in component, product components, and the rest. In a large application, the components goes beyond this number. So loading everything, both what the user needs at that point in time and what the user does not need at that point in time, shifting it to the browser altogether has a lot of performance implication, and that would not improve our performance. Rather, it looks at giving the user what they need first, and whenever they need another one, you give the user that, thereby improving the load time and the application serving the user what he needs will not take a lot of time. Of course, I can give an illustration on this, that okay, if I head to a restaurant, maybe I want to have some lunch after work, and I head to a restaurant, and the waiter comes to me and say, what do you want? I say, okay, I just want rice with a little beans and just a meat with, okay, a fish. All right, the waiter goes back, organize some people, I don't know, move the whole pot of meat, beans, rice, everything before me, and at that point in time, it begins to serve. It takes, number one, time, it takes energy to bring all those things and put the entire cooler, pot of rice, beans, meat, everything, and brings it to my table to begin to serve me. That will take a lot of time, and my patience may be exhausted because I came to have lunch and I'm hungry, and I need quick service delivery and what I need at the appropriate time. So the entire cooler or pot of food is not what I need. I just need a portion of plate, which if it serves a portion of plate, it will take less time for him to for the waiter or for the server to deliver my food that I need at that point in time on time, and it's a less time and less stressful on the waiter that serves at the restaurant. So lazy loading is just giving the user what the object that he needs at that point in time. So if I need to register on the website, and I just need the register component, so when I click the register button, I am served the register component only, and not the sign-in component, not the product component, not the services component. No, not at all. So that is actually what lazy loading entails. So you serve me the register component and all its respective templates and CSS, and when I'm done with that, that is fine. And that is what lazy loading is all about. All right, lazy loading improves performance of the app, and it's one of the best practices. So we look at compilation ahead of time. It's also a best practice in improving performance in Angular apps. But look at lazy loading, which is also a best practice to configure the app so that it will undergo lazy loading. It will load lazily. It's also a best performance, best practice for that action to be implemented in our apps. Then the next one is bundle size. Of course, serving me a 1 megabyte bundle size of application over the server is quite different from serving 100 kilobyte bundle size of app over the server. And bandwidth is involved, time is involved, latency should also be considered. So in that regard, bundle size becomes very, very important in order to have a high performance app. And in best practices, it is required that a bundle size should be controlled, should be under control, should be manageable, so that we'll be able to deliver to the user what they need in a low latency, minified, lower bandwidth, and serve them the app in a faster manner. All right, so we're looking at bundle size. Monitoring your app size at various levels from development to production is essential. So when we build app for production, CLI, build processes, helps us to achieve this and create a multiple bundle sizes that we can work with. Then in other hand, bundling and minification of the code is also essential. Bundling in the sense that, and reducing, packaging everything as a whole, then within the code base, minifying it so that the size of the app actually will be reduced. So bundle size is also one of the performance best practices. We can strive as developer to help our app to load faster, to perform well, to have a better performance. All right, look at pure and impure pipes. Of course, pipes normally is for transformation of data. Transformation of data so that it will be in an acceptable format, readable format, understandable format that the user can actually engage with the content of our application. And we use pipe in order to achieve that. In Angular, there are different types of pipe. We have currency pipes, we have date pipes that transform currency to an acceptable format that the user will be able to understand. So a pipe takes an input data and transforms it to give an output data, and that is to make it acceptable to the end user. So impure pipes and pure pipes. Impure pipe is simply in this place defined with an import at pipe set at true. That tells us that the pipe is pure. Then impure pipes, when the pipe is set at false, it implies that the pipe is impure. Now, what is the implication of a pure and impure pipe? Which role does it play in managing and giving us a good performance in terms of what? In terms of Angular apps. In Angular apps, it plays a role, and the roles it plays is that what is in terms of sorting. Actually, sorting is an expensive operation, and for it to be an expensive, for the fact that it's an expensive operation, it requires that an app that you have to sort through data. It is helpful to make use of to make use of pipes, and with pipe to be able to improve the performance of the app. And pipes will help us to sort some data and give the end users what they need in a faster way. And when the pipe is pure, it is better off. So pure and impure pipes, the difference actually is setting the value, which is a boolean, to either true or false. And once that is done, then we can go ahead in our class to define and transform the data we need to transform, and to implement every logic that we need to implement in our Angular apps. So performance best practices requires us to watch at these critical areas in order to improve the performance of our apps. So sorting with pipes, just like I've said earlier, that is for better performance. Intent sorting app could do that at the component level and not really with pipes, because it may take a lot of resources to sort that. Pipes are good. It's a choice. We can sort with pipes, but for a better sorting it at the component level is good, and it's more or less better. It's better compared with pipe, and that's why I'm also considering the different parts. Sorting with pipe is good, but also doing it at the component level is recommended. Sorting is an expensive operation, so achieving that with pipe will cause a lot of performance issues. Thus, it is not recommended. So remember, we are looking at best practices. We could achieve this sorting or do some things on our app with different ways, but actually we are looking at best practice, and best practice is in terms of performance and nothing else here. And performance is a key factor in delivering our apps to our end users. So that's why we are looking at sorting, with pipes and doing that at the component level, which is better off. But it is recommended that sorting should be at the component level, should do it at the with components, and that will help us to improve performance. So in summary, we discovered the best practices to help you get best performance from your Angular apps as you develop. And we look at ahead of time compilation, and this is better when it is with CLI. When we start up our development with Angular CLI, is a best practice for us to actually get the benefits of what ahead of time compilation when we start with CLI. So we look at how lazy loading feature modules can help us make things more better and quickly, and some tooling to manage that could help us manage our bundle sizes and put our bundle sizes under control. Then finally, we are looking at performance implication with pipe and impure pipes, which I told us earlier that it's good to sort with pipe if an application has to do with sorting, intense sorting application, but it now determines which level you do your sorting, and it is best performance to consider the implication in terms of pipe, and to consider the implication when loading, doing your sorting, or enacting your sorting functions and all that at the component level. So evaluation, we just have a few questions here to evaluate and see what you have learned from this class, whether you have anything to take away from it. So what type of page loading will improve performance? Busy loading, lagging loading, lazy loading, and big loading. And I know you have answer to this if you have been following through, and the answer is lazy loading. Thank you. Look at what do we use pipe in Angular development, or why do we use pipe in Angular development? Sorry, why do we use pipe in Angular development? Number one, to display data, transform data, and compile data or sync data. It is actually to compile data. Thank you. So this loading concept means one of the following. Which of them? Loading wanted and unwanted pages to the user, loading only what is required by the user, bugging the server all the time, or loading metadata only. What one is the answer? In fact, it is loading only what the user requested. So finally, we're looking at which of these can improve performance in Angular app. Bundle size, large pixel images, SEO, metadata. Look at bundle size. Thank you. In conclusion, today's marketplace is intense, and having high performance app is essential to customer satisfaction and business success. So Angular app's performance can be improved upon following the best practices, and we have listed the best practices that we can follow in order to improve our performance in Angular app. If there are any question, you can drop it on the comment section and we can engage at that point. Thank you very much for giving me your attention and time in today's presentation. See you another time. Thank you.